So by now, some of you might be wondering, what in the heck is going on, McClain? Usually you provide me with ways to avoid pain. What's all this feel it and to not use any balm, and I took away your morphine. Having you take responsibility and not vilifying the other, not making them wrong, not blaming them, and not distracting yourself with, well, all the things that we distract ourselves with. Vegging out on television, or eating a bunch of sugar, or sleeping, or having sex with people that we would prefer not to see again, or whatever your particular flavor is. Lots and lots and lots of nothingness. But what do we do that's generative? How do you at the end of a relationship have an empowering turn towards the future? So that's what this one's about. Finally get to what to do that will have you look forward. You don't want to do this too quickly either, because you're probably glossing over some things. And there will be parts of you that are still stuck back there. So you don't want to hobble your own evolution by skipping over it or glossing over it or being in denial about it. But what you can do is, first of all, you have a frame, a perspective in your mind the entire time that you're in the grief process, and that is that what's next is always better. Now, first of all, you don't generally want to have this perspective while you're in a relationship. It leads to unpredictable results, and you're not in the relationship. You're looking past it. And I want to stress also that what's next might be a relationship with the same person, but of course it'll be better because you'll be better. You'll be more evolved. You'll be more spiritually centered. There's all sorts of things. You'll be more clear about what you want. You'll be better able to communicate that. All of those things contribute to a better relationship, whether it's with a new person or whether you revisit it with the same person and you create anew. But what's next is always better. It has to be, because you're better. The next thing is you create we don't really fall in love with people. I know we think we do, but we don't really. We fall in love with a unique collection of qualities and characteristics. And those are worth noting for yourself and for others. But you want to do a grief resolution process, and there's an NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, grief resolution process developed by Dr. Robert McDonald. I recommend that you be taken through that when it's appropriate for you. What does that mean? How is too long to grieve? Well, too long to grieve is when it gets in the way of you being functional in your life. So if you're having trouble paying your bills suddenly, or if you've realized you haven't left the house for weeks, or whatever your particular version is, where you're like, okay, that's enough of that. You just want to make sure that you're not evading it, but you do want to make sure that you're being responsible with it. So whatever's appropriate for you is whatever's appropriate for you when you feel you've had enough. I know that after I left my wife back in 2004, I had the opportunity to assist at a weekend for Robert McDonald, who developed the grief resolution process. And he knew what was going on. I was calling him daily at the time. And I was it was 3 months after I left Isabel, and we're in the middle of divorce negotiations. I'm absolutely wrecked. I'm in the back of the room with my cap down, just unstoppable tears just streaming down my face. I wasn't really crying, but I couldn't, not cry. I wasn't engaged with it. It was just a constant tear flow. And he was going to demonstrate the grief resolution process. Oh, great, thank you. He can take this pain away. And he says, is there anybody here experiencing grief? And I raised my hand, and he said, oh, what's happening, for the class? And I told him, I left my wife, and he said, how long has it been? I said, 3 months. He said, not long enough. Anyone else? And at first I was very upset with him. He could, take this pain away. But I had atrophied my ability to handle pain, which is why it was affecting me so much, because I had done so much instant NLP on myself that I was basically never feeling anything negative. And there's a strength and a capacity that you build while feeling things like grief that are beneficial to you in the long run. You just don't want to get self-indulgent about it. So that, and I would also recommend another process called releasing emotional enmeshment. These are both processes I taught, of course, in the last NLP training and in the one coming up in July that I'll be offering again. But it's just a good idea to do those two things first. And then you want to create this list of, and it'll be part of the grief resolution exercise anyway, the seeds of this. You want to write qualities and characteristics that you loved about them that you want to get in the future, whether it's with them or somebody new. And then I would also recommend a list of qualities or characteristics that you would like in addition, that weren't there, that, you would like them to have in a future partner, whether it's the same person or whether it's a new person. And then finally, write a list of things that are just no longer acceptable, that, the person engaged in, that you were just never really wanted to say that's not acceptable, but it kind of is. Deal breakers is too watered down, but something that you will not tolerate any longer. Because deal breakers, I've noticed, when someone says a deal breaker, often if you excel in other areas, they overlook those. But there are some things that you simply cannot tolerate or can't tolerate any longer. Write those down as well. And when you start to fall back in love with them, because they're absent, and so in your mind you just think of all the wonderful qualities. Start looking at that list, and it could be they're in agreement with you and you're fine, or it could be that those are things that they're not committed to changing, and it really is not appropriate for you, and that will keep you, I don't want to use the word sober, but it will keep you clear about that. Yeah. What's next is always better. Release emotional enmeshment, which, by the way, is excellent while you're in a relationship as well. And the grief resolution process, and then creating your list of qualities and characteristics that you fall in love with and would like more of, and as well as the things you would like in addition, as well as the things that you will not tolerate any longer. There's at least one more I'm going to do around this, and it's actually the mistakes people make that often lead to breakups that are unnecessary, or similar things. Just general orientations while you're in relationship that nurture it and nourish it, that even some of the best coaches forget sometimes, or they help other people but they don't apply it to themselves, or whatever your particular version is. They just forget, or they get too familiar, or they take people as a given. There's all sorts of ways to orient that to make it rich and nourishing and lovely. Okay. And what's next really is always better, because you're always better.